Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're doing a video on the RX9070xt, which in my opinion right now is the best graphics card to buy. We'll be going over performance, what an undervolt looks like, and some other tuning settings on this, as well as an AMD drivers and AMD software, which I think is just amazing. And also be telling you why I switched from an Nvidia RTX 5080 and downgraded to an AMD RX9070xt. Let's get into the video. So here we'll go over, here we have the RX9070xt pulled up. This is the model I have. And so for MSRP, which is actually what we're seeing right now, the 9070xt right here at MSRP, you get, 16 gigs of VRAM. You get 4,096 cores, 256 bus, Navi 48, and you get all the new AMD features. I have ray trace with this card. Ray tracing is amazing. FSR4 is great. Its frame gen is good. There's great things about this card in particular. And so you can also see on the 5070 right now and the 5070 Ti are both at MSRP. The 5070 Ti here at $749 and the 5070 here at $543, so a little bit below MSRP. And so if you're even in and looking around for a 5070, right, at 543, you could honestly downgrade a couple things, spend a little bit less, and put $50 more and get a 9070xt, which is going to offer 5080 super performance. You're going to get more VRAM, and it's going to ray trace about the same. And if you're looking at a 5070 Ti, right, at 749, if you don't need perfect ray tracing, if you want something that can ray trace about 5070 performance, you don't need the extra ray tracing performance this offers. You can save yourself $150 and get a 9070xt and use that for a better CPU, more storage, etc. And so that's why the 9070xt, now that you can actually get it at this $600 MSRP, is a great deal. And so there's also software features that come with the 9070xt that you don't get with Nvidia. And so I'll show you that right now, what I'm talking about. So here we are in AMD Adrenalin software. And so when you're in the software, right, say a game doesn't support FSR, you can click on the title. We'll actually click a game that doesn't support FSR natively, which is Counter-Strike 2. We can click on Counter-Strike 2 and come down here, and right here, AMD Fluid Motion Frames 2.1 Manual. And I can click this toggle switch here, and I get all these settings for it. And now I have frame generation in Counter-Strike. I want to use upscaling right here. Enabled borderless full screen. It's going to flicker just as it turns it on, but boom. Now we have FSR in Counter-Strike, which you wouldn't have on even an Nvidia card, I don't believe. But I know on other AMD cards, you don't get it. But with this, you have a toggle switch for any game. It forces it into it. And then down here we have FSR4. And so basically, if the game supports it, it'll automatically turn it on for you. So that's one feature about the AMD software that is just amazing. In here at the top, we have AI. And so this is like a local AMD chatbot. So this is a AMD chatbot that runs locally off your graphics card. And so it's not great, but I mean, if you just want to tinker around with that, you can. It's free. So we can say, chat is loading. See, it does this to me. It's not perfect. I would just use ChatGPT. Okay. Boom. So we're going to use, this is going to run locally off my graphics card. And so this whole chatbot is running locally off my RX9070xt. So it's going to search, it's going to do all of its stuff. And we're going to see what kind of answer it gives us. I'll tinker around a little bit with this. The AMD Radeon RX 9070xt graphics card offers several advantages that make it the top choice for gamers. It features advanced technologies such as ray tracing accelerators, AI accelerators, and Fidelity FX Super Resolution FSR versions 1 to 4. The RX 9070xt models is highlighted for its exceptional gaming performance, with benchmarks showing significant improvements over previous generations. It supports AMD Hyper RX technology, which enables features like Radeon Super Resolution, FSR, Radeon Anti-Lag, and Radeon Boost. So boom. So that just ran locally off my graphics card. So the next part about the AMD software that's way better than the Nvidia part is performance tab. So when I've used, because again, I've daily driven Intel, AMD, and Nvidia, and AMD does this better than anybody. So you can click tuning here, or you can come to custom. And so something that I love about AMD cards right here, voltage offset. You can undervolt your graphics card just like that. With Intel or Nvidia graphics cards, you need to download third-party software, and a lot of third-party software don't even easily support undervolting. So that's one thing I love about this software is you can just easily just undervolt. You can also change MAC frequency offset and VRAM speeds, and then board power, and then you have your fan curve here and all that. So, and then you also have automatic tuning, so it automatically overclocks your graphics card for its for whatever you're doing on your PC. So that's just what I love about the AMD software. And then you can come to home and it shows you all your games and all your FPS. The reason all of these games aren't showing my FPS right now is because I just reinstalled the AMD software to make a different video on a different graphics card. But it'll log all your average FPSs and all that for you. And you can come into gaming, so here's all your games. And then you have your smart technologies, which is just all this stuff. And then you have your record and stream. So for recording and streaming, you can set up all your settings and record and stream through the AMD app. And this new RX9070xt generation also has new encoders and stuff like that, so you actually can record and stream. Like I've recorded and streamed off this thing, and it looks picture perfect. Like I really can't tell the difference between this and my RTX 5080. Now that is because I have a Intel CPU. And so that also gets me to the next part of the video, the test bench for today. For the test bench today, wow, I cannot talk. We have a i7-14700K, 32 gigabytes of DDR5, 64 on a mega transfers at CL30. So it is very, very equivalent for this graphics card, and it will run everything perfectly with no bottleneck. And so because I have an i7-14700K, it has an encoder on the CPU, which does help with a lot of encoding, where the RTX 5080 actually has that built into it. So if you're running AMD CPU and you want to stream and edit, you might want to get a RTX 50 series card. But if you already have a Intel CPU or you don't care about making content, RX9070xt or even the RX9070 are great picks for you. So now we're going to get into some games and see how it performs. Okay, and for the first video game of the day, we are playing Counter-Strike 2 at 1080p ultra settings. So let's run to a match and see how the RX9070xt does in Counter-Strike 2 at 1080p. Here we are in Counter-Strike at 1080p ultra, and we are seeing about 300 FPS, high 80s to 300s. What the heck? Okay, let's lock in here, guys. So we are seeing a very respectable FPS number right now. We're seeing, high 200s to low 300s at 1080p. And we are at ultra settings. We're not even at competitive settings right now. I cannot get it to run in 1440p for some reason. I have to mess around with that. I was just running on a GT 710, so those settings are a little bit messed up. So at 1440p, I consistently see 180 to 200 FPS at ultra settings. Now, if you ran competitive settings, like more medium to low, you would probably see in those 280s to 300s at 1440p. So yeah, at ultra settings, like right now in this tunnel, we are getting, hold on. Okay. We're getting great FPS. So let me drop the settings down to more competitive settings, and we will see how it does there. Okay, so now say you have a OLED monitor that has a very high refresh rate. We are in medium. We're in between like medium and high right now. And we are now getting high to mid. We're dropping a little bit. But we are seeing, once you hit these high frame rates, especially without 3D V-Cache, it's going to drop a tad bit. But we are seeing, whoa, what? There's somebody over there. So we are seeing, even with medium settings, we're not seeing a whole lot of gain. So I would personally just keep it in the high settings and have higher textures. But we are seeing now 340, 350. So if you want to play Counter-Strike, yeah, this is not going to hold you back at all. All right, let's run to our next game, guys. Here we go. Here we have Squad 44. This is a realistic World War II military simulator, and this is one of those more unoptimized games. So we are running this right now at 85 FPS at 1440p Ultra. And so I loaded this game up just to see how it does in a more unoptimized app. One of those games that is very, very CPU dependent. Like you can see up top, we are using 15 out of 16 gigabytes of VRAM. So this leaves, but again, I'm also screen recording. So when you're actually playing the game, you're probably going to see around 13 gigabytes. But that's just proof. If you want to play one of these more unoptimized games on a 5070 at 1440p, you can't. We're using 15 gigabytes of VRAM. That only has 12. And so that's one of those reasons 16, you really do want 16 for 1440p. 12 is just not really enough unless you're going to turn those textures down. But if you're spending $500, $550, $600 on a graphics card, you shouldn't have to turn settings down to 1440p. And so let's grab a grenade here and see how our frame rate looks when I throw a grenade. We are in the hundreds, so let's see. So this is a very steady frame rate. It does not drop very far below 70. I haven't seen it below 70 yet. Yeah, so it does perfectly fine even with explosions and stuff. Now, this is one of those more CPU heavy games. Like we're seeing 41% of the CPU, and even 99 on the GPU. So this game uses a lot of graphic power to run. And so you can see here, we're still staying in 80 FPS, even with shooting stuff up, having it explode. So great, this card just, it tears through everything. Like we're at 15.5. So if you were on anything under 16 gigs of VRAM, it would just be tearing your GPU up. Like this 9070xt barely cuts it. And so that's another thing. If you look onto our right, we have this overlay, which I don't know if you can really read it in the video, but the AMD overlay is so much better than the Nvidia overlay, and that's part of the reason why I switched from Nvidia to AMD. You have your FPS, your average frame time, your 99% frames, micro stutter, frame gen lag. So if you're running frame gen, it'll actually tell you how much lag you have from that. Your micro stutter, your GPU utilization, GPU clock, GPU board power, GPU temperature, GPU hotspot, GPU voltages, GPU memory utilization, GPU memory clock, GPU memory temp, CPU utilization, and system memory utilization. And it also will tell you different like GPU hotspot and GPU average temperature and all that. So the AMD overlay is so much better than the Nvidia one, and that's a big reason why I switched, but not the biggest. And we'll get to that at the end of the video when we do a overview of the entire 9070xt and all of its games. So that's Squad 44 for one of those more, unoptimized games. Let's jump into the next one. And for the last game of the day, we are playing War Thunder at 1440p Ultra with Ultra Ray Tracing. And so as you can see, we are flying through the air. We are at about 123 FPS right now, 130. We're using 12.1 gigs of VRAM. So there you go. If you have if you were considering the 5070 and you want to ray trace in this game, you're out of luck. I mean, you're at 12 gigs of VRAM and you're kind of cooked at that point. There's not much you can do. And so like I've seen like when you start running out of VRAM, it's not pretty and you're going to get into stuttering and your FPS is going to drop very low. And so that's why I just think and like even getting a 9070, because the 9070s are also at MSRP for 550, you get 16 gigs of VRAM and you're not gonna run into problems like that you're gonna see on a 5070. And so I still think the 9070xt is a better buy than the 9070. I mean, for $50 you're getting much better performance. You're getting the full Navi 48 die instead of a cut down version of it. And so you're just gonna see higher performance. And I think for that extra $50 it's worth it. And so, oh no. So that's why I think that the 9070xt is the best graphics card. So let me get out of this game and let's break down to why I switched from Nvidia or even Intel to AMD and an overview of the whole card in general. So the biggest reason I downgraded from a RTX, 5080 here to a RX 9070 XT, and the biggest reason was drivers. The drivers on the RTX 5080 here were awful. Games would have stuttering, crashes, and all that. And I was able to bring it down to why it was a driver problem and not like a hardware related issue is because if I downloaded older versions of the driver, it would get better, but it would still have a lot of problems. And so the biggest reason for getting a 9070 XT over even a 5070, 5070 Ti over any Nvidia card, unless it's like a 5090 or 4090 or something crazy powerful, is just the drivers are terrible on Nvidia graphics cards. And now the 9070 XT, like I said, the software is just so much better than Intel or Nvidia. And well, I saved a lot of money going from this 5080. I got the same amount of VRAM, and I didn't really lose too much performance. And with that money, I was able to upgrade my RAM, my motherboard, my case, all this stuff I got to upgrade in my computer to handle a high powerful graphics card and in the first place. And so, like if you're looking at even 5070 here for 543, oh, I can't fit a $600 graphics card in my budget. I just can't. The 9070 XT right here at 550. So there's that 16 gigs of VRAM. You get all the benefits of being on a AMD graphics card, and then there's a couple other models for just over that. Some are like really like I wouldn't spend 700 on a 97. Oh, that's a 9070 XT. Another 9070 for 570. I wouldn't spend that much on one though. Like here's another 9070 for 550, and that's from XFX, which we love XFX. And so like, and then there's the 5070 Ti, which has, driver issues and all of that at 749 when you could save an extra 150 bucks and get a 9070 XT for, 600, 620, even at 720. I would still say it's a better buy, just because of the driver issues you are going to get with the Nvidia card and the worst software. Unless you're doing Blender or something that is like Nvidia required, I would not get an Nvidia card. So, yeah, that's my video on the 9070 XT and why I think it's a better buy than almost any NVIDIA graphics card. And I pray that they make a 9080 XT in the near future. But thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.